Right.
Someone's making noise. Is it Beth? Can you turn off your microphone, please?
I gotta turn off my mic.
Yeah.
Bottom left hand, you can press mute.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Did that work?
No. Bottom left, there's a mute button in the bottom left corner.
How do I turn the microphone off?
Bottom left, in the bottom left-hand corner, you see a mute button. Yay. Okay, so hi to everybody and welcome to the 6th episode and the 6th chapter in the Workout Virtual Book Tour session with Jurgen Appelo. And today we're discussing exploration days, hackathons, Shipit Days, whatever you want to call them. And we have a very special guest speaking with us today, Ralph van Roosmalen. So hi Ralph, thank you so much for accepting our invitation today. Ralph is an extremely experienced agile coach and according to Ralph, a self-proclaimed management 3.0 enthusiast. He has 15 years experience in agile software development and has been using the concept of exploration days with teams for quite a while now. He's also written an excellent article on exploration days, and I put the link in the chat box so you can go through and click on it and have a read afterwards. So without further ado, let's get straight down to discussion. Jurgen is going to introduce exploration days, so go ahead, Jurgen.
All right, thank you very much, Louise. So yeah, this is the, I have no idea actually, 4th, 5th, 6th edition of, sorry Louise?
6th.
6th, all right, the 6th edition of our global virtual book tour based on the workout book. You see the posters behind me. And every time we want to address one specific topic, one chapter, and this time it is exploration days and internal crowdfunding. 2 parts to this conversation. And the first part, I'll introduce that with a story. I often tell the same story of me being a development manager or CIO at the time, I believe, when I was trying to get people to develop themselves in the organization, to do a bit of self-study and learning and whatnot. But I was a bit unsuccessful. We tried giving people education days. It's very similar to vacation days, which meant that they had the right to use a number of days per year for self-education, like attend an online event such as this one, or read a book, or play with some tools, whatever. And they could simply reserve those dates in their calendar. It turned out after a number of months that almost nobody was using their education days. And that surprised me. And when I asked them, why are you not using your education days? People said, well, it's so busy, Johan, we have all these deadlines. And I said, well, that's funny because according to the administration, you are able to use all your vacation days. No problem whatsoever to go on vacations. So it's just the education that you're skipping on. So I thought it was a matter of priority, the matter of discipline, if you will. It is possible to learn even if you have deadlines of projects. And there my efforts stalled. I didn't know how to proceed. Later, I learned about what Atlassian, the tool vendor, called FedEx Days at the time. Their idea was, it is nicely described on their blog and website, to reserve one day every couple of months dedicated for the entire organization, which was reserved for self-study, learning, and in particular experimentation, usually also in teams, in a collaborative approach. So there was no way of saying, sorry, I didn't have time to use my education day. You knew 2 months in advance that one particular day was FedEx Day. So you were very, very bad at planning if you didn't use your FedEx Day. Later, they renamed it to Shipit Day because FedEx started complaining about the name. They didn't want them to use the name FedEx Day. But it was a nice name. It meant delivering something in 24 hours. So the idea was to show results in 24 hours. You're probably aware of other companies who have hackathons or hack days. Facebook and Spotify are examples of that. I have difficulty with those terms because they are very software development oriented. And I would like to have a term that's more inclusive. How can the human resources department join a hackathon, or the marketeers department, for example? I think they have the right to join the fun as well. So I prefer the name Exploration Days or Innovation Days. They sound more generic, and that is what it is about: exploration and innovation. I do not really like the name Shipit Days, because that means that your focus is on shipping things, but that's not the point. The point is learning and exploration. So that's a good idea, I think. And in a moment, Ralph can tell us all about it. But there's one thing that stands out to me. That is, what happens if someone has a good idea and they show the demo at the end of an exploration day or hackathon? What do they do with the idea then? How can people bring it to the next level? It will probably need more time and maybe money investment in order to actually turn it into something that is a minimal viable product that is potentially shippable. So the next idea is that of internal crowdfunding. It's not very well known. I read that IBM has positive experiences with it. Sony, I read, some other companies. It means that basically you make money available, a budget, as top management to all the employees in the company. And then you ask people to invest in each other's ideas. So everyone gets a small amount of investment money, and people invest in the ideas that together they list on the internal stock exchange, if you will. It is like crowdfunding, only within the office walls. And that makes sense to me, because you could combine it. You could use exploration days in the first phase, experiment with ideas, have your team members join the fun. And then if you have a demo after 24 hours and people think, well, this is cool, then they could invest in those ideas to take it to the next level with some funding by the company's management. So those are the ideas that I came across. And I think if I had implemented those a good number of years back, I would have been much more successful at getting people to develop themselves, educate themselves, and be more innovative. That's my story. I would like to hand it over to Ralph, who has his own experience, practical experience with exploration days. So take it away, Ralph.
Yeah, thank you, Jurgen. The problem that we had at the previous company where I worked was that indeed getting people to learn, it was very challenging, and it is very challenging because you cannot force them. So we came up with the idea to organize exploration days during an R&D summit where we had everybody in the Netherlands, from Romania and from the US. And what I wrote in my blog are the things that we learned. I mean, organizing the exploration days itself, that's not that hard to do. But the things that we learned, that we explained our exploration days to HR at one moment, and they said, "Oh, that's a great idea. We love it. You should make it mandatory. Everybody should attend." I said, "Oh, wait, that won't work, because we believe if we make it mandatory and everybody has to attend, you will get teams with people who are there just because they have to. We believe that it should be voluntarily, and you should be really eager to participate. And of course, as manager, you should make sure that they want to participate, but you cannot make it mandatory, in our opinion." The second one that we did was lead by example, because at one moment you're going to start the exploration days, you're going to promote it, and who will be the first one who will attend? Who will stick out a snack? I think you as manager, you should participate. My developers days are far behind me, but still I participated because I love Chrome, Google. I got 2 Chromebooks, so I said, okay, I will participate with my Chromebook and try to work in corporate environment for one day. I created the first project page on the wiki to give an example to everybody else, what it should be on the wiki page, what they should describe, the goals, who will attend, and I also invited other people to join my project. Unfortunately, nobody did, but hey, I was there. The second, and that's also what Jurgen said, people feel guilty. I knew definitely some people who would attend innovation days, exploration days. They love to innovate. They made mobile apps in their free time to experiment at our back end. And still they didn't register themselves for the exploration days. And I asked them, how come? Yeah, but we got the deadlines and we got the project, and the program manager is pushing us to deliver more, and the product manager also said, hey, come on, wait, step back. We informed everybody, program management, project manager, a few months ago that this was going on, that this was coming. They know, They incorporate it in the planning. You don't have to feel guilty about it. Management is supporting it. Our CEO is supporting it. Oh, they said. And then they realized that it was okay to join, that it's not, that they didn't have to feel guilty that they didn't leave the project behind. So that's important to communicate that clearly to the people, that they know that they can participate. Another one that we found important is, okay, you're going to organize exploration days, and when is it a success? And maybe that's a bit general for management, but our management team asked us, okay, nice, exploration days, but how do you know it's success? Is that based on the number of people who participate, on the ideas? So we came up with some numbers. I described in my blog. We used some fact from Stack Overflow and development and employment from the survey. And we came up with some numbers. And that made us also, at the end of the exploration days, a few weeks later, being able to tell management, hey, it was a success based on this criteria. People loved it, but look at the numbers. We got people participating, so it was as we expected. The fifth thing that we did was marketing. I designed a great poster, at least I thought. But our visual designers thought differently and they made a better design, I have to admit. But that's one thing. And we made sure that this poster was in the office in Romania, in the Netherlands, in the US, everywhere. But we also used Yammer internally, push people. We made a bit awkward YouTube video to get people think about exploration days, to get people in. And we spread the message as much as possible to make people enthusiastic, because I don't believe you can force people to participate, but you as a manager, you can make sure that they are interested, that they are eager, that they are curious. What is it? In the end, and that was for me the highlight of the exploration days and maybe even of the R&D summit, was sharing what they learned, sharing what they did. We got, in the end, I think, how much people participated? 40 people who participated. And at the Friday, they shared what they learned with the whole group. And the whole R&D department was there. Also the people who did not participate, but everybody was there. And we have people who don't like to speak in audience, who never speak out, who are very silent but hardworking people. They stood up and they explained how they made a new web crawler based on Chrome or whatever. And it was great to see that sparkling in their eyes, being enthusiastic about something, being able to work on it and share it with the group and get respect from the group. Hey, great that you joined, that you participated in Exploration Days. That was, for me, the best moment of Exploration Days. And what in the end, what we got of the Exploration Days is that we got a group of testers who are now starting to work on test automation in the evening hours after work. They just provide pizza and they do it on their own. We had some team members who worked on security of our products. Program management was interested, and they got some projects starting on now to improve the security of our products. So that are really directly some spin-offs from the Exploration Days. And for us, it was a start innovation, and they need to keep it up. They need to organize it again. But it's a great start to get that learning, get that innovation back into the company, where because of deadlines, etc., as you described, Jurgen, got out of the system. So that's in short my experience story.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing, Ralph.
Yes,
I'm sure many people have questions. I have one before I want to switch back to Louise and everyone else. I don't know. Maybe I missed it, but did everyone besides software development join the Exploration Days as well? Did the marketeers join, or business development, or HR?
No, we only focused on R&D in this case. We did definitely also promote it to testers, to requirement engineers, to make sure that it was not only development event. So definitely also the testers joined. But within R&D, it was everybody joined, but it was only still an R&D event.
Okay. Okay, clear. Thank you. So Louise, back to you.
Yeah, thanks so much. That's excellent feedback, Ralph. Thank you. So we're open to questions for Ralph or for Jurgen. So you can put your hand up if you want to ask a question, or you can put it down in the chat box. So who wants to ask the first question? Questions. Okay, we've got one here. Christian and Anders want to know, how do you demo if many, like 200 people plus, how do you demo if many are joining the Exploration Day? So how do you demo them?
Yeah, good point. For us, it was something that we underestimated. We had 100 people, and we didn't have enough chairs, and we gave everybody, I think, 10 or 15 minutes speaking time. But with, I think we had 13 project teams in total, it's already a whole morning. So after the 24 hours, you still have to again spend half a day promoting everything. So how do you organize up 200 people? Good question. Think about it up front. And it's maybe you can combine it with crowdsourcing, as Jurgen said, funding. Do it parallel, ask people to give points, and do in the end maybe the best sessions again for the other group that people can choose, something like that. But you have to think about it, because for me the demo was the most interesting part of the whole exploration days, that energy, that in that room. So if you don't spend enough time on that, I won't say it's a waste of time of exploration days, but then you miss a great part of exploration days.
Sounds like a very smart comment. But you said you have different offices in Romania and the US. So how did the other offices participate? Did they have their own presentations, or was it cross?
No. We cheated a bit, because this was during the R&D summit where everybody was in one location.
Ah, okay.
So next time
problem solved.
Challenging a bit. Yes, sometimes you have to take the easy way.
Okay. Yeah, interesting question. I have no direct experience with it. I do believe that it would be interesting to make a connection with internal crowdfunding to take things to the next level. And from crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, etc., that they have certain formats for how to present your idea, whether it is a bit of text or graphics or a video or whatever. You have to show something to the people, and it shouldn't take long. I mean, you don't use an hour of people's time to demonstrate your idea. You have to condense it to a couple of minutes of their time, and then ask for their money. So I think the facilitator of such an event, of exploration days or whatever you want to call it, could spend a little time defining what kind of format the results should be published in. And that could be like the point at which you take it to the next level if you also have an internal crowdfunding platform. And if it's digital, then the entire company across multiple locations could join. But that's as far as my thinking goes.
Cool. Well, we have a couple of questions that have come through on the chat. So from Thomas, we have the question, how much do you need to prepare an exploration day? I understand more is better, but as said, a lot of other things is always going on. So can you have some sort of standing agenda, or is it specific for each exploration day?
In our case, I think we have a standing agenda. For the people itself, it wasn't that much. I think if they had spent 1 hour on, I think it's already much, because in our case, they had to create a wiki page with the group who was in the team, the goal, what they wanted to learn, and that was it. And that was just one wiki page, so that's not that much of a hassle. It doesn't cost that much time. For the organization, for ourselves, it was a bit more time, because we had to take care of informing everybody, doing the marketing. So that's more time. But for the people itself, maximum 1 hour.
Cool. Okay, we've got another question. We've got lots of questions coming through on chat now. So we've got a question from Aaron Showers, and Aaron is asking, what do you think about having periodic blocks like trainings that project teams sign up for rather than one generic call? Would this allow for more of a continuous engagement, or do you think the campaign style is required to drive participation?
Great question. Shall I take that one? My thinking is that my own experiment with education days many years ago failed because it was not synchronized. It was anyone for themselves, and everyone had the right to use their education days, but they didn't, because it was very hard to do this by yourself if there is not some campaign going on that allows you to do this in a collaborative way. So in that sense, I think hackathons and Shipit Days, etc., are more successful in teaching people that you have the right to use your expiration day by doing it all together on the same date. But having said this, I know there are plenty of companies where the culture is already in place, where people have already learned that it is okay every now and then to do to spend a day learning instead of working towards a deadline or whatever. And if the culture is there, yes, then by all means, you don't need the campaigns anymore across the entire organization. A team can just decide for themselves, like, hey guys, shall we organize our own team level expiration day next Thursday? So you could leave it to people themselves to organize it. But I think it makes sense to do this company-wide if it is something that you want to teach to people, that it is okay to use those days throughout the year every now and then to experiment, to play, and to innovate during a time box of 24 hours. But if the culture is there, you may not need it anymore. That's my thinking.
Yeah, what you could do is use innovation days as a trigger, because what I always promote to people is, hey, if you want to study half a day, Friday afternoon or Monday morning, go ahead. And you can use innovation days maybe as a trigger. Hey, if you want to do this in the future, spend 4 hours, 8 hours on the project, do it free. And then maybe things get started if you need to build up that culture.
Right, exactly. And I've learned of some companies that haven't formalized this in any way. It's just teams and departments know that they can do this, and it happens in a self-organized way. Magically, they use that time. But it is something that is interesting for top management to consider, to mandate it for a while, that this happens in the organization until it happens in a self-organized way. You take the rule away, basically. Good question.
Were you going to continue, Jurgen?
No.
No? Okay. Well, we have a question from Vidya, a good question from Vidya. She asks, if you have an outsourced developer team, i.e. in India, how can you get them involved?
Yeah.
Invite them all over. I don't know.
I know. It's difficult because we have so much distribution of our team. I mean, I have some developers sitting in India who are programming the app for me. I have in Bonn some people, and I am in Darmstadt. So it's all very distributed, and to get everybody on board to really innovate on our app, it's I mean, we have our normal calls, but to get them all for exploration or innovation day, I don't know.
Yeah, my thinking is that it is probably too difficult not just have people self-organize, but also do this across the whole world in different time zones through tools that are available, of course, but that form an extra bottleneck, an obstacle for this to happen. It is much easier for people to self-organize and play and experiment if they're together in the same room. Everyone knows that. That's why Agile always suggests, if possible, get people in the same room and work with co-located teams. It is not something that is sustainable in the 21st century. I know that because many people work this in a distributed way. But it is my suggestion would be to start doing this locally and have the team in India have their own expiration day, and the team in another location have their own expiration day. Even if it's just 2 people, doesn't matter. Have them experiment with something. And if they have that cadence of using a day every now and then for exploration, maybe after a while they could sync and solve that extra a problem of how to do things collaboratively across different countries, because you will need to address some logistical issues. As Louise and I always have when we organize things across the world. There's always logistical problems, isn't it, Louise?
We always get through them, though.
We always get through them. It takes a bit of experience.
And maybe in the end, you can use also the results, the demo of the exploration days as a team binding factor.
Oh, that will be, I think that would be cool. I was just thinking about the incentive. I mean, this is an outsource developer team, and they have their own managers, and to incentivize something like that. Have you had any experience with it? I mean, to make it more, just not because people, I would say in India, I don't know, probably. First of all, they say that it's not work related directly, and maybe they're not that much, the managers I'm thinking about in India.
I think the problem in India, I don't want to generalize, but maybe in India they are not used to have this freedom, and I think that's then maybe the biggest change, that you should encourage them, hey, you're allowed to do whatever you want 24 hours, and let them taste that freedom, because in the end they also want to do cool things, they also want to learn. I believe definitely they want to learn. So this could be maybe a real opportunity to learn and to be more committed to the company, to the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have a couple of questions from Patrick, and I think, Patrick, maybe we've just answered your first question a little bit, because Patrick was asking how do you set up an exploration day when you basically have a virtual only team. So we kind of covered that one. Your second question, Patrick, is could customer validation of exploration days results the results work? So internal crowdfunding through kind of feedback from the market, from customers.
Yeah, so I heard Jurgen say the step forward after the exploration days. It might be very well done by have some peer recognition, peer validation of the IDs. But is somebody any experience with having those IDs that come out of the exploration days in kind of a crowdfunding platform, which is your company's own, but to which the customers have access to get kind of a market validation?
Okay, so at what point would you start including the customer? That is the way I understand your question. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, peer validation works. In my company, we've had several initiatives that are alike exploration days, but it was always very innovation based, and there was an internal committee of managers that came with some venture capitalists to say, hey, this is a good idea, this is not a good idea, this is not a good idea. Some of those ideas that were considered as not good enough for our company were actually taken outwards by other companies, not even by the people themselves that came up with the ideas, and have become a success in the marketplace. But if at the point in time there would have been a way to get customer validation in, not with money, but really just on interest.
Yeah.
So it's like peer-to-peer validation, but with customers included.
Mm-hmm. So I think on the one hand, you have the Steve Jobs situation where nothing is shown to the customer until everything is perfect, and you organize a huge marketing event, and then everyone is like, "Wow, this is the best thing since the invention of the wheel." And on the other side of the spectrum, we have the Dropbox approach, where they had absolutely nothing except an idea that they made a video of, and then they asked customers to pay for the idea that had yet to be created, had yet to be developed. I think anything between those extremes is a possibility. It totally depends on the kind of product that you have, the kind of company that you want to run, whether you have competitors or not, whether you need this level of secrecy. I have no idea. What I do know is that traditionally, if I may say traditionally, the idea is not that old, but Shipit Days and Exploration Days, they are internally focused. So the customers are the other people in the company saying, yeah, that would be a great thing. to do. I think that makes sense. With internal crowdfunding, you take it a step further because you're actually throwing money at the idea at that point. I think the lean startup approach of involving a customer, that makes a lot of sense in short cycles when one of the ideas is being funded through internal crowdfunding. But then, is that customer who will be paying for it or not at that time, is that a real customer or a proxy on behalf of the customer, as Steve Jobs always was? I don't know. That's up to you. But you were talking finance at the end. That is also very much a business-specific question. So at some point, yeah, you need to have some revenue going on. I know Dropbox is a famous example of doing that. They financed the first iteration with real customers' money, is what I understood. Apple didn't need that. They had investors and other rich people. So that's all kinds of possibilities, as long as you have some feedback cycle, and that I think is the core idea of agile, as some people say. Corey Ames and other famous craftsmen in the agile world say that it's like the core idea of agile is to have this feedback cycle going. Well, and to make it as short as possible. Well, expiration days themselves are a feedback cycle. This 24-hour feedback cycle. Lean Startup has its own approach to it. Internal crowdfunding, it's all about getting the feedback cycle. So lots of options as long as you get the feedback cycle going. Long answer. Sorry.
Yeah.
If I may add, I think the risk is there that if you want to involve customers, that you also limit the ideas that your team will work on. Because we had a group of testers, 5 testers who worked on test automation. Totally not interested for a customer. We had a group who worked on a streaming protocol for multimedia. Yeah, not interested for a customer. There were some things that were interesting for a customer, but not all. Then you limit the ideas of the teams. And I would not limit the ideas. I would say, guys, you can come up with everything as long as it's related to software development in general.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference. I mean, in our company those days, we're really focused on what are the next features, the next products that we potentially might bring to market. There's never been really exploration based around how can we do things better internally. And with that, just the need to find peer-to-peer validation, management validation for, hey, you're right. This is something that we should try to tackle right now. But we can do that with our team. So I see and hear the difference. Well, thanks.
Yep. Thank you for the question. Any others?
Yeah, we have a couple of questions here. One from Aaron Showers, who asks, do you spend any effort in vetting ideas or prepping teams?
Ralph, did you?
Ralph wants to ask that answer that one.
We let it go. The biggest thing for a manager, let things go.
Yeah.
Trust the people. I always find it difficult, but it worked out quite well. We had good ideas. We let the teams form themselves, and we had a good teams. We had teams over locations, teams with people who are normally not working together. So that was one of the great things. I think you should not try to control it. You should not try to coach, guide it. Just let it happen.
I agree there, but on the opportunity for the people themselves to vet their ideas and to prep the teams, that must be in place. So that is why most people who organize exploration days and hackathons say that you need a certain amount of time to build up towards that 24 hours when you're having your day of exploration and innovation, because people want to find peers that they want to involve in getting their idea to the next phase. People want to team up with others from other teams or whatever. So you need to allow that self-organization to take a bit of time and have people post their ideas on an internal board, for example. I've seen that happen, where people suggest, well, this is what I want to be working on. This is what I want to be working on. Does anyone want to join me? So that probably takes a week or two to self-organize.
Cool. Okay. We've got another question in the chat box. So we've got quite a few questions coming through. Should you mix explorers with co-workers who have decided not to participate in the kind of the day-to-day office environment, or should you set up a specific exploration area for them?
Good question. I like it. What we did, first of all, we didn't have the space to set up a different exploration room, so we mixed it. And I like that, because then you get a bit of peer pressure. Hey, they are doing cool stuff, they are having fun, they are laughing, they're working on Raspberry Pis, and I'm doing here some dull coding. I want to join them next time. So that will be, for me, a reason, again, not to make it separate and to have one team, one location where they can work together.
Yeah, I would agree. I would make it visible and make it easy for people to change their minds, even and say, well, the deadline was not that important anyway. I'm going to join, even though I said no. That is more difficult if you have it take place somewhere else. And besides, people would like to use their own office chairs and desks. I'm quite sure that is more comfortable for them.
Okay, that's the last question we've got in chat. Has anybody want to put their hands up and ask another question? Or type a question in chat? I think no more questions coming through in chat. Anybody got another question?
No hands going up.
Last.
Okay, cool. Well, then we are nicely within the time box for today. Just 5 or so minutes left.
Well, thank you so much for everybody for coming today. Thank you to Ralph as well for being our guest speaker. Don't forget again, before you leave the conversation, if you want to click on the link to Ralph's article, there's another 200 or so things that he learned about Exploration Days in that article.
This is Aaron Showers on the line, and I just wanted to thank Ralph again for his time. I know you were a little bit worried about adding value, but it was a great discussion. We really appreciated it on our side. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. I'm sure you expressed everyone's thoughts there. So everyone, a thumbs up for Ralph. Yay!
Louise, where's the link to the article? Do we just search it, or am I missing something?
In the chat, if you go down to the chat box, it's right at the very, very top. It's a very first comment. And you will also, if you miss it here, if you click on the link and you lose it, it's also in the Exploration Days article, which is on the Happy Melly blog. So you'll find a link to it there as well.
And we can make sure that it will be visible when this is up on YouTube. We'll just add it to the description area so people can find it easily.
Exactly. And we'll also send you a copy of the video, so a link to the video, so you'll have lots of opportunities to find the article.
All right, cool. So thanks everyone for joining. It was a pleasure again, this 6th virtual book tour session. What is the next one about, Louise?
That's a question I'm not 100% sure on. I think it's feedback wraps.
Feedback wrap, that's what I thought as well.
I'm pretty sure it's feedback wraps, and it'll be towards the end of October, so we'll be sending out an invitation to that in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So look out, and we hope to see you all there.
Awesome. Thank you, Louise, for organizing and facilitating this. Much appreciated. Dealing with all the stress so that I don't have to. And we'll see some of you perhaps again in a couple of weeks for the 7th session, which will be about feedback wraps. Thank you all for joining, and thanks for watching later on YouTube. Bye.
Thank you.